Hello and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing well. So with the new album LSD coming out from Cardiacs imminently this month, September, I was thinking there's probably going to be some exposure to new fans, people who maybe have never heard of Cardiacs, or perhaps some who've heard of them but have just never dipped their toe into the pond, if you like. And I thought what would be quite nice is to do a little video where I'm going to suggest 5 tracks that might be just a good sort of gateway for newcomers to have a listen to see whether they feel that Cardiacs might be for them. Now, it's fair to say that Cardiacs are not a band that you can just pick up and listen to and instantly be in love with. I mean, there are some people who do feel that way, but they're a band that you have to work with. You have to listen really attentively. You have to really engage in what's going on. Otherwise, it's just going to be like a steamroller that rolls over you, basically. So it's not easy music, but it's very, very rewarding once you get into it. Now, obviously, everybody is going to have different suggestions for what songs they would recommend. So I would definitely encourage you to put your top 5 into the comments. Now, this is the top 5 songs that you would maybe recommend to a newcomer to the band. I'm trying to give a diverse range of songs for newcomers to listen to, but not necessarily the most challenging, difficult songs, because there are some that are a little bit harder to get into than others. And I'm trying to sort of present some that would be a good accessible point for newcomers. And obviously, if they enjoy these 5, then there's a very good chance that they could dip into any other songs and albums and feel relatively secure in what they're about to hear. So the first track, and probably the most accessible, is This the Life, which is from A Little Man in a House and the Whole World Window. This, I suppose, is a good starting point because there isn't anything in this particular song that I would say is going to be too daunting. It's really a very accessible rock song. There's a lot of kind of conventional things going on. The riffs are simple and memorable and easy to kind of listen to. The structure of the song, the chord progressions are relatively straightforward, and there isn't anything bar the ending where it goes a little bit wonky and quirky. There isn't much in this song that is particularly challenging to listen to, but it's a great track, and I think it's a really good one to start with, just to kind of get a feel to the sound of the band, and in particular the sound of Tim's vocals. Now, the many voices of Tim, because Tim had a very unique vocal style, and you'll hear that in all of these songs there's different characters, almost different personalities in his vocal delivery, so it kind of just introduces you to his vocal style, and I think it's a really, really great track to begin with. Now, my next track is a bit of an unusual choice, and that is Stone Age Dinosaurs from Songs for Ships and Irons. And I think with this one, again, I feel like it's quite accessible. Melodically, it's quite easy to follow. Lyrically, it's quite easy to follow, because often what you'll find with Cardiacs is not only are the lyrics quite cryptic, but they're also sometimes sung at such a rate and at such a speed that it's not always easy to follow what's going on unless you've got the lyrics in front of you. Whereas I feel Stone Age Dinosaurs, you can follow, it's easy, you don't get lost too much, but we're starting to get some slightly more unusual chord progressions that you wouldn't necessarily encounter in, I guess, more mainstream songs. And this kind of cyclical chord progressions that Tim uses quite often in his music is quite prominent in this song. There's some superb singing. I think Tim's voice is beautiful and delicate in this song, and almost quite childlike, which is wonderful. And there's some really amazing saxophone work here as well. So I feel that this one is a really good one to listen to. Very different to Is This the Life, but just starting to dip into slightly more complex chord progressions as we will move forward. For my third entry, I'm going for Two Bites of Cherry from On Land and In the Sea. Now, this one is great because, for me, Cardiacs in one song will have enough musical material to fill an album of another band. There is so much going on in such a short space of time. It's really dizzying sometimes. And I think a song like Two Bites of Cherry is a really good example of that. There is so much jam packed into this track. It's full throttle. It doesn't let up. There's just constant momentum, constant energy. Rhythmically, it's a lot more complicated than the previous two songs, whereas the other two had a what I would call a fairly steady pulse that you could tap your foot along to. Two Bites of Cherry, good luck trying to find where the strong beat is on this one, because it's constantly changing, it's constantly shifting. And again, this is a very common feature in Cardiac's music. It's still got a lot of memorable hooks, but they're not quite as easy to digest as the previous two songs. Maybe slightly a little bit more fragmented in places. You've got to kind of latch on to things. You listen to something and you think, oh, that's good, and then before you know it, you're somewhere else doing something else. It's a different style. You know, it's one of those kind of songs where there are lots of different sort of styles within it, and they kind of whiz past like a kaleidoscope, and you got to just kind of hold on. You just got to hold on tight and go along for the ride. And it's a really, really good one, and I think a very good song for seeing whether your Cardiac's worthy or not. I think definitely. For the fourth song, another slightly unusual choice, and that is We'll Bleed Amen from the album Guns. Now, the reason I've chosen this one is not only do I think it's a fantastic track with a really, really fast, frenetic, energetic riff. Again, the music moves all over the place. Harmonically, it's really interesting. There's some lovely kind of backing vocals. It's just a wonderful track, and I think the reason why I've chosen this one is because Guns was the last album they ever released prior to this new one coming out this month. So in a sense, I feel like there's probably a bit of a sound world similarity between them, and I think maybe We'll Bleed Amen has similar sonic properties and stylistic features that we might encounter in the new album. So I thought it might be quite a nice bridging song to listen to prepare you for what's coming on the next album. And then the final song, I think most people would put this on their list, and that is Dirty Boy from Sing to God. Now, this is, I suppose, their swan song. This is the one that I think maybe most people associate with the band. It's an anathemic sort of otherworldly masterpiece. It's really very, very hard to sum up, really, the song. It's not conventional in the slightest, although on first appearances it seems quite conventional in terms of the instrumentation, guitars, drums, bass, vocals, everything you'd expect from your standard rock band lineup. But it's far from straightforward. Melodically and harmonically, the chord progressions are wonderful, and the chord progressions, there's nothing fancy, there's no complicated chords, it's just major and minor chords, but the combination of major and minor chords that are totally unrelated to each other just really gives it a magical feel, and Tim's vocal line just sort of weaves around this chord progression, and the piece kind of it's like a wave. It's constantly coming from the horizon. You can see this wave sort of coming, and then as the piece reaches its kind of climax, it sort of hits this point where the wave has completely submerged everything, and you're just left with this sort of long held note in the voices, and this kind of never-ending chord progression that just goes around and around and around, and it's this really cathartic moment in the piece, and a really mesmerizing song. I don't even know how Tim composed it. I don't know how he came up with it. I really don't. And it's a very hard song to describe to someone, so that's why I would definitely recommend it to a newcomer to have a listen to. And if I'm honest, I would listen to the 5 songs that I've suggested here in the order that I've suggested them as well. I feel like that would give you a nice snapshot of their music, their style, their sound, and from there you can then start to dip in and listen to some other things. So I hope you found that useful. I know everyone will have a different opinion and a different take, and by all means please do put them in the comments, but this is my take. This is my 5 albums for newcomers, and hopefully, if I can do another one, maybe we can start looking at maybe 5 tracks that are more of the challenging side of cardiacs, something that's going to get you really having to hold on tight and really kind of grab hold of something to keep you balanced. So anyway, thank you very much for stopping by. If you enjoyed my content, please do consider subscribing. It would really help to help this channel to grow, and it tells YouTube to recommend it to other people, and that'll be fantastic. And I'll see you all in my next video. Take care. Bye.